it can actually be quite stressful, and the stress can be continuous because, of course, our family members are our family members. We often cannot be apart from them, and that means that if the stress is coming from family relations, then chronic stress can come into play. The fourth one I might mention is also unresolved health issues or health problems. So let us say maybe we are having certain symptoms that are making us unwell, and we find that maybe when we go to hospital or to the doctor, they are not able to find out what's the matter, or they find out what's the matter and the solutions they are providing are not actually effective. So these two can be source of chronic stress, not only for the person who is undergoing the health issue, but also for those who are giving care or who are concerned or related to the person. So those are four of the many sources of chronic stress, and I'm sure we can come up with others. But for now, I want to move on to some of the effects of chronic stress that manifest differently from person to person. So we don't react to chronic stress in the same way. And there will be different ways in which different people react, and different stressors may cause different reactions. So, for example, maybe you may know of people who may have an autoimmune reaction, like skin eruptions when they are under stress, like hives. These are rashes that appear on the skin in different parts of the body in response to stress. Other people can manifest their chronic stress through cardiovascular issues. So there can be irregular heartbeats, or they may find there is some shortness of breath, or other people may react in their gut so that they have irritable bowels that may run into either constipation, or they can have diarrhea, or they can have indigestion as a result of chronic stress. And then another way that this can manifest are mental effects. So there can be depression in some people, there can be anxiety, there can be mood outbursts of different type, or for some people it can be a feeling of lethargy and lack of energy, while others may have things like migraines, headaches, and so on. So those are some of the ways that it can manifest, but as I've said, different people may manifest their stresses differently. So turning my attention to supplements now, what I would like to say is that we would suggest different mix of supplements for different manifestations of stress. But before we go to that, in general, the supplements that we would generally recommend for stress that is maybe not very specific in the way it's manifesting itself are, number one, vitamin B complex, which helps both in energy production as well as in affecting good mood. So vitamin B complex is quite useful in keeping away things like depression and other low mood type of reactions. Then we also recommend, as a general supplement for stress, aloe vera plus, and this is because aloe vera plus helps us to relax, and also it is soothing to the gut. Then we also can recommend Neolife tea, which gives an energy boost and is an antioxidant, so it will help the body to deal with some of the negative effects of chronic stress. We also can recommend magnesium complex, which helps in relaxing muscles and assisting us in getting good sleep, because, of course, one of the ways in which stress can have a negative effect on our life is interfering with sleep. And then lastly, in the general supplements would be vitamin D, and this is especially for those who have inadequate sun exposure, then they may need to supplement with vitamin D. So those 5 are some of the supplements that we can recommend for stress that is manifesting itself in general. Maybe the person just feels very many different signs of stress. So if they want general supplements, then we can recommend those. But now I will turn my attention to supplements for stress that manifests himself in a specific way. So the first way that I have here is when chronic stress manifests itself in breathing issues, problems to do with our breathing system. So it could be maybe an asthmatic attack, or it can be other respiratory types of symptoms. So with this, if a person already has maybe asthma or emphysema, then if they are also stressed, it's going to make it worse, and maybe the asthmatic attacks become more severe and more frequent. And for this, we recommend herbal respiratory complex. We also recommend flavonoid complex and omega-3 salmon oil. So these are going to help with the existing problem with the breathing issues, and also with time will help to settle these manifestations. Of course, we do need to deal with the source of stress, which I'm going to mention in a few moments, but the supplements will help to deal with the immediate manifestation of the stress, because you can imagine if it's attacks of asthma, it is urgent that we should deal with the asthmatic attack, but at the same time, if the asthmatic attack is being exacerbated by some stressor, then we can also deal with eliminating that stress. So we take those, we approach it in those two ways, and the supplements there would be herbal respiratory complex, flavonoid complex, and omega-3 salmon oil. Then for cases where the chronic stress is manifesting itself in heart and blood issues, so here we can have rapid or irregular heartbeat, we can have blood vessels constricting and thereby causing an increase in abnormally high blood pressure. Then this is because the chronic stress is going to mean that the heart will be overworked for a prolonged period, and then omega-3 salmon oil. We'd recommend lipotropic adjunct for blood health, and we would also, if there are heart issues, we'd also add their coenzyme Q10. So for those who have an increased risk of high blood pressure, stroke, or heart failure, maybe because of a familial history or a pre-existing condition, then these supplements will play an important role in dealing with the manifestation itself. But we would recommend there, as I've said, omega-3 salmon oil, lipotropic adjunct, and coenzyme Q10. And in the meanwhile, of course, as we use the supplements, we also see what can be done to resolve the stress. The third one is when stress manifests itself with the blood sugar issues. So stress, as I mentioned at the beginning, can one of the way the stress hormones makes our body react is by giving a surge of blood sugar to supply fuel for energy that will be needed for an emergency. But in the case of chronic stress, it can lead to feelings of being exhausted because we are having these surges of blood sugar, and it becomes a continuous thing that we keep on pumping this fuel. But because we are not, the emergency is not resolving, it becomes a problem. And in the long term, it can lead to a serious condition such as pre-diabetes or diabetes, because the cycle will continue that we are trying to deal with the situation by giving a surge of blood sugar, but this is not ending. So in addition to that, that feeling of lethargy can lead to craving, especially foods that are not good for us, like refined carbohydrates, cakes, chocolates, and so on. And I think we are aware of some people who, when they are under stress, they tend to eat very unhealthy foods. This is not just because they are not interested in their health, but because they are having this cycle of blood sugar surges that is playing havoc with their systems, so that they start craving those foods that give a quick boost of sugar. But unfortunately, those same foods are quite bad for our health in terms of leading to those conditions I've mentioned. So in order to deal with this, we will recommend vitamin B complex as well as threonine to help stabilize energy production and cellular health. At the same time, If there is already a history of diabetes or pre-diabetes or a familial tendency towards it, then it would be good to add botanical balance to help settle the problems to do with those sugar surges that can be problematic. So for those who tend to have those cravings for refined carbohydrates, feeling of exhaustion that leads to those cravings, we'd recommend that they supplement with vitamin B complex that will help them with energy production. In fact, they can also add there something like Neolife tea, and of course, N, which we know is our baseline for ensuring that we are healthy at a cellular level. And we can also add botanical balance if it is necessary as a result of diabetes or pre-diabetes or a familial tendency to it. Then another manifestation of stress that I wanted to mention is the tendency of chronic stress to weaken our immune system. And it does, the continuous presence of the stress hormones will lead to a reduction in the activity and the numbers as well as the movements of our protective cells. You know that our immune system has got very specific cells whose function is to protect us by going about fighting against disease-causing organism that might be in us. So when we are under chronic stress, the numbers of these cells may be lowered, and also their ability to move rapidly within our system can also be slowed down. And that when that happens, we become more susceptible to opportunistic infections. For example, things like Candida, the yeast infection that can be quite common when our immune system is not strong enough. We can have many cases of common cold. So we may have cold symptoms that keep on going and coming back. So all these are ways, because maybe the stress will be affecting our gut microbiome, where the friendly organisms that help our immune system may be reduced in their numbers. So because of this, if the chronic stress is manifesting its effects in this way, then we'll recommend ProVitality as well as NutriShake. And if you have it in your market, we can recommend acidophilus. If you do not have it, then we can use fiber tablets and dietary fiber as well by eating foods that are rich in soluble fibers. Many fruits have got soluble fibers as well as many leafy vegetables. These fibers help to feed the good, friendly gut microbes, and these gut microbes play a very important role in supporting our immune system. Then next, when stress manifests itself in gut issues, then I think I've mentioned that chronic stress can lead to an irritable bowel, where you have things like diarrhea, constipation, heartburn, nausea, and so on. So with this, we would recommend Aloe Vera Plus that helps to soothe the gut, and get rid of gas, in fact. We also would recommend chelated zinc that helps protect against things like ulcers, the development of ulcers. And we also would recommend, once again, as I said, acidophilus and fiber tablets. And the good thing about cultivating acidophilus and the gut microbes is that they are going to reduce the population of some of the unfriendly microbes that are associated with getting ulcers, because we know that people who have chronic stress tend to also get, in some cases, they will get stomach ulcers. And the good thing with acidophilus and fiber in our diet is that it's going to keep the numbers of those types of microbes down. If there is problems to do with constipation, we can also add stage 6, which is a herbal preparation that helps us to keep our bowel movement regular and thereby deal with the constipation. As I've said on previous occasions, we should not take stage 6 continuously. We should take it from time to time in order to give our gut the chance to be able to move without the assistance of stage 6. So stage 6 is like a bridge that helps us to get from where we are in constipation to the stage where we are able to get regular bowel movement. So if the constipation returns, we can then still keep the bottle of stage 6 and use it when the problem recurs. But the idea here is that by making good dietary choices, we are going to get rid of the constipation and heartburn and the diarrhea. So then, next, I wanted to mention when chronic stress interferes with sleep and our ability to relax and rest, because chronic stress can also manifest in terms of muscular tension, headaches, migraines, and general agitation. So this unfortunately can become a vicious cycle in which we are too tense and agitated to sleep. And then because we can't sleep, we get tired. So in addition to the stress, we will be tired, we'll be headachy, and we'll be tense and agitated. So the supplements we can recommend when stress manifests in this way is aloe vera plus. Once again, that helps with the relaxation, as well as magnesium complex. And I would also recommend there that if there's a tendency to headaches and migraines, we will add there omega-3 salmon oil that helps with dealing with migraines and migraines type of headaches. So aloe vera plus, magnesium, and omega-3 salmon oil. Finally, I wanted to mention that chronic stress can also affect our reproductive system because it can interfere with the balance and the production of our reproductive hormones. So for example, in the case of men, short-term stress is okay because it causes an increase in testosterone, which is one of the important male hormones. And what that male hormone does is that it has many roles to play in the general health of men. However, chronic stress over time is going to reduce the level of testosterone in men. So for that reason, temporary stress is not a cause for great concern, but chronic stress definitely is, because as I've said, these reproductive hormones play an important role, not only in our reproductive systems, but also in our general health. So if chronic stress is manifesting itself maybe in erectile dysfunction, or it's manifesting itself in absence of menstrual periods for women, and so on, we would recommend some supplements that can help. So for men, we'd recommend masculine herbal complex. We'd also recommend zinc. These support the masculine reproductive system. And also we would add the aloe vera plus for general relaxation. Then for women, we'd recommend feminine herbal complex, magnesium, as well as, again, aloe vera plus. So now I would like to turn my attention in the few moments remaining to some of the lifestyle points that we can bring into play in addition to supplements, because as we always say, our supplements are supposed to supplement our lifestyle efforts that we make to have a healthier body. So the first is a personal attitude. So we should work towards changing our attitude towards stressor in order to see it as a challenge rather than a challenge that we can overcome, rather than that's something over which we are helpless and about which we are overwhelmed. So a change of attitude plays an important role. If we try to see ways in which the chronic stressor is a challenge, we will then set our mind towards finding solutions to that challenge. So this will help to reduce the feelings of powerlessness, and it will also initiate regaining our mental and emotional equilibrium so that we can start looking for good long-term solutions to the stress situation, or we can start thinking of ways of getting help or support. So our attitude is the first lifestyle measure that we can take in resolving stress. Then the next thing we can do is also address the stressor itself. If it is something which we can change, then definitely we should look at how we could bring about that change. Let us say it is a job situation that is highly stressful, and the more we succeed in the job, the more stress we expect. then we would consider maybe changing our trajectory by becoming a neo-life distributor, for example, because in our neo-life business, it's not that we do not have any stress, but what does happen is that we've got ways to deal with that stress effectively through education as well as our lifestyle. If it is maybe the stressor could be friends that we have who are negative, and rather than adding value to our lives, are actually adding distress and sadness, then we might reconsider our circle of friends to see how we can adjust. Maybe simply by not taking to heart the things they do and the things they say. Then we can be taking well thought out actions in one of the best ways to deal with stress. For example, we can look at our goals and our dreams and think about ways in which those goals and dreams can be reached without putting our health on the line by living with chronic stress, which can actually mean that we become so ill that we are not able to achieve our goals. And so we can make the changes where possible. As we all know, changes are not always possible. There are certain situations in which we either have to patiently wait until we are able to actually resolve them. Some situations can actually not be changed, which means we have to formulate a way to live with that stress within our lives, and so on. Then another lifestyle pointer is exercise, because exercise is an excellent way of dealing with the effects of chronic stress, especially in our cardiovascular system and even in our minds and our brains. The exercise is going to help to disperse or to dissipate those stress hormones that can keep on lingering in our system, playing so much havoc. By going out for a jog or a walk, maybe a swim, or maybe taking dancing classes, we may find that we are able to dissipate some of those hormones and give our system a relief. The physical tiredness that comes out of exercise will make it easier to relax and go to sleep, because sometimes we are agitated in our minds, but our physical body has been sitting in the same place, which means that our mind is racing, but our body is sitting. By exercising, we also tire our physical body, and in that way, we are able not only to dissipate some of the stress hormones, but also to make it easier for us to relax and go to sleep at the end of the day. So wherever possible, we can see how we can add exercise to our lifestyle. Then the next lifestyle point is to safeguard our 8 hours of sleep every night as far as we are able. I know that one of the effects of chronic stress will be a problem with sleep itself. But as I've said, we can use the supplements and the lifestyle measures in order to safeguard our sleep so that we are able to get sleep. And sleep is important because it is during sleep that our systems refresh themselves, especially our brain. It is in deep sleep that the brain is able to take a break from activity and get rid of toxins and refresh itself for its function on the next day. So if we are not getting enough sleep, it is very important that we find ways and means by which to improve the situation to enable us at least to get a certain amount of sleep. Then the fifth point of lifestyle is to decide to say no if no is the answer. A lot of our chronic stress comes from failing to prioritize our own needs and prioritizing the needs of everybody around us to the detriment of our own self, which means we will be of no use to the people who are around us, and we will also at the same time be harming ourselves. So if it is not possible for us to do something, then we should allow ourselves to say no. And if an explanation is needed, to give an explanation. And I think all those who really truly care about us will be able to accept that we are not able to do for them what they would like us to do. and maybe give us time to recuperate and recover our equilibrium so that we are better able to help them. Because the long-term effect of always trying to do what we really are not able to do is always negative. Then as I come towards the end here, we can identify any stressors that is possible for us to eliminate and eliminate them. And also, as a final point, we should be deliberate about finding pleasant things to do, things that we actually enjoy. Maybe we like to listen to music. We should set a little time to listen to music, maybe a few times a week. If we are people who like to sing, and maybe we have the opportunity for it, maybe to join a choir, or maybe once a week you can go and sing and have something that is uplifting to you and your frame of mind. As I've mentioned already, exercise. If you're a person who enjoys a certain kind of exercise, maybe a sport, then that is something we can do. Hobbies also will be useful. Maybe your hobby is hiking or some craft work. All these will help to give our systems a break and allow the stress hormones to dissipate, because it is the continuous presence of stress hormones that actually plays havoc. Anything that we can do to to dissipate them and give our system a break is going to be beneficial. So I see that my time is up. Allow me to thank you very much for spending the time with us this evening in this training session. I hope that in your personal capacity, you have found the session beneficial, and also in the people maybe that you have in mind, that you'll be able to better educate and help them with the information that I've shared this evening. So for now, thank you and have a good evening. And let me hand you over to Pascal. I hope that the month end is going as you have hoped. And if not, there's still a little time to push to get to where we want to get. So thank you very much. Here's Pascal now.